Shelly. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully not too late here. I was on a phone call a little longer than I expected, but it was a very awesome, entertaining, fun phone call. So hope you guys are having an amazing night. Give everybody a few minutes to join here. It is 7 p.m. So give everybody about 2 or 3 minutes to join into the room. What's up, Brian? What's going on, Harvey? Welcome, welcome. Hope you guys had an awesome weekend. It was crazy not being here Saturday. Up in the mountains going camping. It was fun, but I missed you guys. Definitely missed my RDAP crew. And I'm texting my girlfriend to see if she'll be so kind to bring me a cup of coffee because I didn't have time to make it. We'll even put a smiley face on there for her. Okay. Hey, John. Yoda. You guys like you guys like the title of this video? Mentors. Who's your Yoda? I thought that would be fitting. When I was doing a Google search for images to put into the thumbnail, when I typed in mentor, Yoda kept popping up. So I was like, man, that's a great idea. Not to mention I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes. Mary, first time commenting live. All right. Hello, Mary. How are you? We definitely welcome all of the ladies that join the community. We need more of you to show support. We know a lot of you are either getting ready to go to prison or you've got a loved one in prison. And we all know that it can be just as hard on a family member being on the outside. In some cases, probably harder for our loved one that's actually in prison. So, Mary, if you've got a loved one in prison, or maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your story. Juan Carlos, what's up, buddy? How was your mushroom trip? Why do you got to put trip in quotations? It wasn't that kind of a trip. What are you going to do when you hit 1,000 subscribers? Wear a blue shirt? You're being sarcastic. I'm wearing a blue shirt right now, Juan Carlos. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do when I hit 1,000 subscribers, but it's going to be something that you guys aren't going to be prepared for. It's going to be legit. It's going to be very legit. So before we get started into tonight's awesome topic about mentors, and this topic actually came from a spur-of-the-moment video that I threw up on Facebook. I think it was yesterday. I came out of the gym and had a really good workout, and part of the reason I had such an awesome workout was I was thinking about where my life was prior to prison, where my life was during prison, and where my life ended up after prison, and I realized it had a lot to do with my perception, how it changed of people, and who I started seeing as positive influences and mentors in my life. So anyway, yes, I am good. Just had fun watching my daughter fell off her horse. My boyfriend is in federal holding jail right now. I Facebook messaged you before about not able to comment. Oh yes, okay, I remember. So you have a loved one in federal prison, which can be sometimes worse than being in federal prison yourself, because you're sitting there trying to worry about him and he's, over there kicking it. Greasy, what's going on? Miss GM Motors in the house. So we got a few people in. Todd's not going to be able to make it tonight, as most of you probably know, or maybe you don't know, or maybe you forgot. Todd self-surrenders this Friday. So he's prepping. So he was not able to make today's video. Hopefully he might be able to make Friday's video. If not, I'll make sure I get a nice message from him to you guys, and vice versa. I apologize. As you can see on my screen up here where it says text YouTube to 35074, the background disappeared. So let's put this down here where you can see it better. The background disappeared, the black background. I was updating my computer, deleting some pictures, and I forgot that I created a background for that. So my bad, but you can still see it. For those of you that have not yet sent the word YouTube to 35074. That will put you on a notification list so you will never miss another RDAPdan event ever again. So real quick before we jump into tonight's topic, I just got off the phone with some of you may have seen his videos, or you may know of him through watching CNN, different places. Larry Levine, who's also a prison consultant. It was my first time having a conversation with him in a very long time. I spoke to him briefly before I went to prison. It was a very short conversation. We really didn't get too deep into it. But tonight we had a really cool conversation, and you know, he's got a fucking hell of a character that he puts on when he's on TV and on YouTube. He's very, very loud, very, and it's pretty much how he was in the phone conversation. So that's just how he is. But I had a great conversation with him, and he's a really down to earth guy, and he knows a lot. So that is what my interest was, is to see where he's at in this whole prison consulting world, what he knows, what he's doing for people. And it honestly sounds like he's got some really good services. So I have nothing bad to say about the guy. Aaron, what is up, my man? Aaron Gunter. Hey, Dan, I'm finally settled and can start what we talked about. Keep kicking ass. Very cool. Aaron is a friend of mine who I met in the Federal Halfway House. Aaron also did federal prison time. I think he did a little bit longer than me, but very, very cool guy. Welcome, Aaron. Glad you could pop in for a few minutes. Let's see what Mary wrote here. Yes, it's stressful. I had to be there keeping him calm, using all your advice, and you are my lifesaver. Well, thank you, Mary. That's why I do what I do. And if it wasn't for comments like that and people like you guys, I'd be talking to myself and it would be pointless. So I did not have time to shower. I came back from the gym, got on a phone call, got sidetracked, and washed my face, combed my hair, and here I am. All right, so Jesse Tang. All right, Jesse Tang is back. Jesse. One of these days, you'll grow a pair and pick up the phone and call. All right, so without any longer putting you guys off, let's go ahead and talk about mentors. Who's your Yoda? Who's your Yoda, and what's he done for you lately? All right, so for me, we'll talk about me for a little bit because it's easy to beat up myself. I don't want to say this applies to everybody. Hey, Will, before I forget, I didn't forget about you. It's been a stressful afternoon. Saw with my attorney. So I had a few things to take care of. So I will call you. Thank you. I will call you. Everybody say hi to Shelly. She just brought me coffee. She ran. Boy, I didn't know she could move that fast. She's got moves. Will, I will call you as soon as I'll call you as soon as we're done here. And I know you've got some questions. Just been playing catch up from a mushroom trip. So back to me and mentors. So prior to going to prison, I was definitely, she is very quick, Brian. I was definitely the kind of guy that would take no advice from anybody. Hey, is this being glitchy to you guys? Is it like real choppy? Because I see it chopping up on my side. Let me know if everything's crystal clear over here. Anyway, so prior to me going to prison, I didn't want to take anybody's advice. And when I say I didn't want to take anybody's advice, is I would decide whose advice I was going to take. Now, I still decide whose advice I'm going to take. But the difference then was there were so many people in my life, in and out of my life, that would constantly give me that I never wanted to hear. And I had so many positive people potentially that could have been in my life that I continually pushed away because I always felt like I had to be the one with all the answers. I had to be the one to figure everything out. And I wouldn't listen to what I needed to hear. I only heard what I wanted to hear. And man, I can see this thing is being really choppy. I don't know what's going on tonight, guys. I don't know if my internet's down or what. Let's give this a minute. All right, seems like it might have picked back up. All right. So when you look at who your mentors are going to be, like I've got mentors now that I didn't even know were my mentors, all over the place in different aspects of different life. For almost everything that I have an interest in, I have a mentor in that. My best friend's mother, Janice, she's a Christian life coach, and she was an amazing mentor to me while I was in prison. Now, if she would have approached me prior to going to prison with, trying to get me into reading the Bible, trying to get me into reading Tony Robbins, trying to get me to do anything, I would automatically disregard it as bullshit, and I wouldn't want to hear it because it didn't come from my own mind. So I always thought I had all of the answers. While I was in prison, I noticed that I became much more vulnerable to, like a sponge. Like I wanted to take in information. I wanted to make my time go as smooth and fast as possible. So I was really in that mode of where I could learn. And she was there at the right time, and she put things in front of me like Bibles, Tony Robbins books, other life coaching material. That a lot of that information that I read while I was in prison is a lot of information that I apply in my videos with you guys, in my approach and how I deal with my everyday life. I don't know how much you guys believe of what I say, but when I tell you guys that how I am on this channel with you guys, the stuff that I talk about, my mannerisms, the way I talk, this is exactly how I am in real life. And this is exactly why people either love me or hate me. There's people that just hate my energy and they want to be negative. And it's so hard to be negative around somebody that's positive because I don't deal with it. I won't sit there and cater to your babiness. I won't cater to your whining. I won't cater to your bad day. I'm not going to sit there and tell you, oh yeah, bad day, Sorry. It's like you had a bad day because you let yourself have a bad day. Now, we all have moments, right? We all have moments where our brains go off into la la land. But man, we have the ability to reel that shit right back in real fast. Once you start understanding who you are and what your flaws are, and you realize it's not okay to complain about everything. I read a Facebook post. Some lady had to go pick up her kid from school. She said her child was suspended for the 4th time. A little girl suspended for the 4th time. And she immediately made excuses why her daughter was suspended. The teachers don't understand her. The school doesn't work at her pace. They don't know how to cater to her. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on, 4 times, nobody understands your daughter. What the fuck's going on in the home life? That's what I want to know. Like, why is your daughter acting out different than any other kid? Went blank, says offline. Am I back? Can you guys see me? How frustrating. I'm not saying anything in case you guys are wondering. I'm waiting to see if this thing is back on or not. This is our first technical difficulty. Incognito. We're on. Okay. So we're on. So my point is, guys, before I get too deep into a rant here, you have to be willing to identify the people that are in your life that you can count on to. We have some people that can't hear, some people that can. So hopefully it's all fixing itself. You have to be able to identify who your mentors are. Maybe, hopefully I'm one of your mentors. I volunteer. I'll be a mentor. But I'm sure you have plenty of other ones that you look up to. If you're into fitness, there's somebody that you're idolizing in the fitness world, right? That's a mentor. You may have mentors that don't even know that they are your mentor. You have to be able to listen and not dictate who you're going to learn from. Just because maybe somebody's got lesser of an education than you, lesser of an income than you, maybe they don't dress as good as you, you'll be surprised on what you can learn from them if you're being open to whatever wisdom it is that they have to share with you. Everybody has something to offer almost everybody else. Man, I'm getting a lot of feedback here saying that you guys can't see what's going on. It looks like it's playing all right on my end. I keep seeing it break up a little bit. But, when you ask yourself, who's your Yoda and whose mentor might you be? Who do you think who looks up to you? Your children, obviously, family members might. What are you doing in your life that other people might be following you and either attempting to emulate you, potentially wanting to be like you, good or bad. Seems like I don't know what your name is here, MLUNASQ1. You seem to be the only one that can't see me and no sound, so I apologize. I don't know why. Everybody else seems to be able to see the feed. But, sorry, keep getting sidetracked there. Stupid videos. If you don't have a solid mentor network and you haven't been able to identify your mentors or your influences, it's going to be real hard for you to progress because you're trying to do it all by yourself. And the thing is where you guys are in life right now, getting ready to go into federal prison, the unknown, this isn't something you can really do alone, or you should even want to do alone. In RDAP, one of the roadblocks is I don't need anybody else's help to solve my problems. That is a self-defeating thought because you're shutting down the possibility of being objective to what somebody else might be able to offer you. And when you start with that attitude where you don't need anybody's help and you're a know-it-all, man, you're making it so hard for people to even want to try to help you. And that's kind of like what we're talking about with Jesse, right? Last week we were talking about Jesse Tang, and he keeps saying he wants help, and he comes to the channel, but yet he won't make that step, that progress in order to reach out and contact, whether it be email, text, whatever. He won't do that. So he's not willing to accept help, but yet that puts himself into this seclusion to where he can't progress out of it. He can keep coming into the channel, but he's at a point now where he's hit a brick wall where, yes, he's hearing the information, he's receiving it, but he's not communicating. He's one-sided right now. And he's got excuse after excuse. He's insecure, he's shy, he doesn't want to share his personal information. It's all just excuses to not do it. I saw a lady on Facebook, and Facebook is a great reference because most of us in here go on Facebook. She's a personal fitness life coach. She's got an amazing business model, and she's real. She'll tell you on her videos, been talking about going out for a run, and I keep waiting for the perfect scenario, the weather to be perfect, for myself to feel, all of these, waiting for like the stars to align. And for most of us, the stars just don't fucking align when we need them to. So she decided, put my gym clothes on and just go. And when you use that, that's right back to Tony Robbins. That's pain versus pleasure. The thought of going to the gym or going for a run might sound really shitty in the moment, but that short-term pain that you're dealing with right then and there is going to be outweighed by the massive long-term pleasure that follows the minute you get into your routine, the minute you get into that run, the minute you get into that workout, the minute you get into that personal narrative, the minute you get into that character reference letter, the minute you engage in whatever it is that you've been putting off, you immediately feel better. So if you catch yourself procrastinating, it's because you're using the pain versus pleasure in the wrong sense. You're allowing that short-term pleasure to create a massive magnitude of pain down the road because there's things that you should be doing. Almost everybody in this room knows there's something they need to do that they're not doing. And you feel like shit for not doing it, but you keep lying to yourself saying, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to do it tomorrow, I'm going to do it after this cup of coffee, I'm going to do it after this TV show, and you make excuse after excuse and you don't do it, and then anxiety builds up behind it, and that spreads into, and then you all of a sudden freak out. It's the same thing with the attorneys. We talk about the attorneys, right? You need to, you don't want your attorney to call you because he's probably going to call you with bad news. So we talked about this. Thursday, Friday rolls around. You feel fucking fantastic because the chances are your attorney's not going to be calling you over the weekend. You're not going to hear any bad news over the weekend. So you tend to let your guard down a little bit. Soon as Monday hits, you start to, oh my God. Every time your phone rings, you wonder, is it your attorney? Is it your attorney? Don't allow that anxiety to fucking control you. take initiative, call your attorney, and shoot him an email at the same time every Monday like clockwork. And regardless of what he calls or says back, you will feel better because you can move on from that now. That's not going to be the main focus of all of the negativity in your life. And I don't see Chris in here tonight. Chris is known to get a little funky here and there, but he uses his tools that he has at his fingertips now. No one's saying that using all these tools is going to make your anxiety go away, but what it will do is it's like taking a pill. It's like taking the anxiety pill that represses it down, and of course, eventually it's going to rise back up, but the more you know how to deal with it and handle it, you don't allow the pressure to build and explode. You control how much anxiety you're going to allow yourself to have, and then you're going to release it in a professional, calm way. You're not going to do it in a sense where you wake up at 4 a.m. in a cold sweat, getting on the computer, Googling RDAP, I need to watch a video at 4 a.m. You shouldn't have to get your fix that way. You should be using the tools as you feel the pressure getting to you. Handle it right then and there. Stop what you're doing. Get rid of that pressure because it doesn't allow you to progress forward. You guys have so many people that you probably aren't aware of that could help you. You just don't want to reach out to them. Most people that can help you probably don't know how to help you because they don't know what to say to you because you're closed off. You're shut down. Hey, Shannon, just saw you pop in the room. We got Shannon in the house, Shannon Ford, guys. She's got an amazing YouTube channel, so make sure you check her out. There's a link in my description to Shannon's channel. She's got she's a prison wife, and she's got some videos all about what it's like to be a prison wife. So check out her channel. But you guys have to be able to reach out and ask for help. There is nothing wrong for asking for help. So many people do not want to ask for help. I wrote down some questions in the description of this video. Are you the type of person that does not like asking for help? If you can say honestly that, I do not like to ask for help. Now, asking for help and asking to borrow money is two different things. I get it. You may not want to go borrow money from somebody, especially if you don't know that you're going to have the ability to pay it back. That's different. But if you're sad and you're depressed, if you don't have people that you can call and talk to them about whatever it is you're going through in your mind, then you really need to evaluate your circle of friends, guys. It's important. Do you struggle with taking advice from others? If you find yourself struggling taking advice from others, you got to find out why. You got to reel that ego in and realize that you don't have all the answers, that you're not smarter than every person. You're not going to go into RDAP and tap dance your way right through it. There's going to be struggles that you're going to have to deal with. And I'm telling you, there's people that have been through what you're about to go through, especially once you get to prison. There's going to be people there that have already dealt with this. All you have to do is talk to them, open up, and you'll be surprised. You can't worry about being vulnerable to somebody and what they're going to use what they're going to use that information and try to hurt you. You can't be afraid of every single thing like that. There's relationships where people are so afraid to open up in a relationship because they're afraid of getting hurt. Well, guess what? If you don't open up in a relationship because you're afraid of getting hurt, you're never going to be able to experience all of the highs that can also come from that relationship. Whether that be with your significant other, whether that be with your children, whether that be with your parents, whatever it is. If you're closed down and you have a wall built and you have excuses for it, there's people that have been to prison. They talk about how they're institutionalized and they have to stay closed off. Those are excuses for not willing to get the fuck out of your comfort and do something uncomfortable. You've got to make yourself uncomfortable to be able to get to where you want to go. It's not easy. And anybody that tells you it is a liar. I can tell you that just to get to where I am right now in my life, and I've got a lot of growing to go. I've got a lot of mentors yet I haven't met yet. I've got a lot of people still to learn from. And just to where I am right now has been a fucking struggle, man, because I was the type of person that did not like to take information or advice from anybody. And now, honestly, most of the advice that I learn and get is from a lot of you guys. Like, this, again, I don't always know who my mentors are. So many of you, Todd Hansen became a mentor of mine in many ways, as I was for him. We connected in in an intimate type of a relationship to where we could just have a conversation. Chris, same way. John in here, John Goff, you and I have a good relationship when we talk on the phone. We talk about business, but we also have an organic conversation where we can talk just normal. I don't have to worry about offending you by saying something that you may not like. And I think I've gotten to know your personality enough to where you've gotten to know mine that that what my true meaning is to do nothing but try to help and put you in a better situation than you're in right now. And when you have those kind of relationships with people, you have to respect it and identify it, because those are rare relationships. You can't have that. I've had clients that are so dry and so hard to connect with that you almost have to think about every word you say before you say it. I got to go and have dinner with the family. We'll check back in soon. Mary, we salute you. Prison wife. Mary, I hope you've become a fan of Shannon Ford, because she's definitely your style. You tell Jesse, Shannon. Tell him what everybody else has been telling him. Jesse needs to be coddled a little bit more. Let's put that baby blanket on Jesse. I just realized I'm wearing my fucking headset still. I don't know why I have this on. Sorry. It's my nerd gear. The life of rdapdan. But yeah, man, it's so important to be able to identify these things. Do you often feel you have all the answers? When you feel like you have all of the answers, you don't. And people know you don't. When you think you're such a good manipulator and you're able to, and you think you're able to get over on them, you're not. People are just tired of calling your bullshit. They're just tired of telling you. When you think you're constantly, if you're always lying and you're always, you come home late, you missed work, you show up to work late and you've always got an excuse. If you're the type of guy that's always got an excuse for why you didn't do something, or the type of woman that has an excuse for why you didn't do something, chances are whoever you're feeding the excuses to, they know it's a bunch of BS. They just don't care to engage because they don't feel like you're ever going to change. So they don't feel like you're worth it to put the effort into. Think about that. There's people out there, and I'm not talking to everybody, but to those of you that I'm talking to, you know who you are. Think about that for a minute. Doesn't it sound shitty to know that there's people out there that do not think you're worth the effort because they don't think you have the ability to change, or the ability to want to change, or the ability to see that you might need to change? If you can think of yourself as that type of a person, then you need to look deep and figure out what it is you need to do. Jesse, I'm just teasing you. I'm not saying you really need to be coddled, man. I just don't like it when people get involved in my problems. I try to handle it by myself. It doesn't work. It doesn't work handling things by yourself. That's why there's teams. Everything has organizations, teams, people helping people. It doesn't work dealing with it by yourself. And, if you can't grasp that fact and that reality, Todd leaves Friday, guys. Just so you know, Jesse, I see you talking about Todd. Todd leaves on Friday. So yeah, he hauls ass this weekend. So that's going to be interesting. Where's Prison Wife Group? If you look in my incognito, if you look in my description, you'll see. Are you talking about for Shannon? I've got Shannon in there. I've got Tammy Light in there. Those are both two women that run a YouTube channel that have all about prison lives. How would you try to come off to the prosecutor in an interview with her? Sad, scared, confident, remorseful? Ask her to be lenient? You got to come off real, man. I know where you're going with that. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. There can't be any manipulation attempts because they've seen it all. So your best bet is to be honest. That's why, look, when I tell you guys, when you hire me and we're going to come up with a plan of things that you're going to be doing or should be doing, like community service, making sure you have a stable job, making sure you're involving your kids, making sure you're building your mentor network that you're sending out these emails to every week. The reason why you want to do that, because you can't go sit in front of a judge, you can't go sit in front of a prosecutor, you can't go sit in front of U.S. probation and say these are all the things you're going to do. They don't care. But if you're actually doing all of these things along the road, and now you're sitting in front of, you're sitting with agents and a prosecutor, and you're talking about the things that you're doing, that's different. You're not lying, you're not manipulating. And I promise you that when you start doing these things, it might feel a little forced at first. But when you start making it a routine, you start to look forward to the way it makes you feel when you've completed it. You start to use, again, that pain versus pleasure. The shitty idea of getting up and going to wherever to go do your community service, whether it be a church, whether it be Salvation Army, wherever it's going to be, you're not going to want to go do it in the moment. But once you're there and it's done and you feel better about it, you're going to realize that, hey, this is a feeling that I'm craving right now, especially if you're getting ready to go to federal prison. You're looking for every positive thought and action you can throw out into the universe, and that is one of the best ways. And it conveys, because now when you're in front of a judge, in front of a prosecutor, it's like, this guy's got hundreds, thousands, whatever, however many hours of logged time you have makes a difference. It does. And even if it doesn't make a difference on your sentence, not every judge is going to care. Not every prosecutor is going to care. But the goal is you are changing your thought process into a positive thought process instead of a way, how can I wiggle through this? What can I do to the system? Stop thinking that way, because you can't beat the system. You can only use the tools that the system presents you and use it to the best of your advantage. That's the best thing you can do, is understand how it works and then work the system. You can't beat the system. So what I say to that, Juan Carlos, when you ask, how would you try to come off to the prosecutor in an interview with her? You want to come off real, authentic, and genuine. And the best way to do that is create that now going forward, so that's really who you are during that process. Interview. What have you been doing? You put a lot of time into writing, yes. But what time have you put into action showing that you're backing up all of these words? And that's where a lot of people fall short. A lot of you, I've sent out the mentor list of, making sure you guys email once a week to emailing once a week to your mentor network, including me, adding to that network. And some of you haven't gotten any emails yet, which means you're not doing it, which means you are becoming part of the reason that your results may not be as desirable as you want them to be. You've got to put in as much effort as what you're expecting to get out of it. So if you're not willing to work for it, really, willing to put in time, willing to get up in the morning, willing to go in on your days off, willing to go do community service, willing to do all of these things, willing to take 45 minutes a week and type out a letter to, this is what I did, this is who I went and saw, this is how many hours I worked here, putting all of this into an email summary of what you did throughout your week, and then email that to everybody. Email that to your probation officer for pretrial, email it to me, email it to whoever else you may have added to your mentor network. Your mentor network is designed for people to hold you accountable. And if they're expecting something from you, that's an accountability that you're not following through on. So if you said to me, Dan, I give you my word, I'm going to email you every Monday, and I don't get an email till Tuesday, Wednesday, or I don't get one at all, you become a person that I can't take you for what your word is. And how do you think that's going to relate later on when you're talking to a judge? What have you done to back up what it is that's going into your letters? We can write the best letters in the world for you, but if you can't back any of it up with some substantial, some action-based productivity that you've made progress, it doesn't really mean anything. It's frustrating. Dan, you do that when exactly in halfway house? What's the question, Greasy? I apologize. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Dan, you do that when exactly in halfway house? And I know English isn't your first language, Greasy, so I know it's frustrating for you to try to ask the question the way you're trying to ask it, so its meaning comes across. But I apologize. What I'm talking about right now, Greasy, is you want to do this sooner the better. You want to be doing it right now, all the way through prison into the halfway house, because it will become part of you. It will eventually become habit, and it's just going to be another day. It's going to be something that you're expecting of yourself. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Raise that bar. Limbo under a shorter bar. That doesn't make sense. You want the bar higher, so the limbo should be easier. Hey, Keith. I just spoke to Todd. He's enjoying a night out with his wife. He said to say hello to everyone. Awesome. Yeah, I spoke to Keith a couple hours ago. He called me with some last minute jitters, getting ready to self-surrender on Friday. He's nervous. And he's nervous about things he shouldn't be nervous about. He's just nervous because he's nervous. So I pretty much just shut him down and said, man, you've accomplished everything you need to accomplish. Everything else that you're nervous about right now is going to sort itself out the minute you get to prison. He's worried about, like, are people going to come up to him and offer him things? How should he accept it? Where should he sit at a table? I mean, all that stuff is just going to fall into place for all of you guys. When you get to prison, those little concerns, I get it. They're going to be concerns, and you're going to have that anxiety until you walk into prison. But please, when I tell you, don't stress about, like, who you're going to become friends with, where you're going to sit at the table, are you going to be accepted? Every single one of you will be accepted into prison, into a group of some sort, I promise. Dude, I'll go fight for or with the Koreans. You say that now, but trust me, when you get to the camp, you're going to be like, this is pretty sweet. I'm definitely glad I'm not the Koreans right now. But I've heard a lot of people say that. Why can't you just send me to the military? Put me on the front line. It's crazy that we think that's our concept of reality of what prison is, and it's not. It's not. Like, looking back before I went to prison, hell yeah. Give me a M16 or whatever kind of gun they shoot in whatever Army Marines, and I would have been on the front line throwing down. Now, if someone said, hey man, you got to go back to the low for a year, or you got to go fight in the military, I'll go to the low. I'm going to walk the track, listen to my music, make some amazing food, read some amazing books, take some amazing classes. I'll take that opportunity going to war any day. There's Chris. What up, Chris? Everybody loves Chris. We were just talking about you, Chris. Aaron. Is that hell no? You would rather go to war, or hell no? You'd rather go back to prison. College campus with a fence. See, I mean, Aaron's been there, so it's easy for him to say that. But what was your thought before you went to prison, Aaron? Would you rather get on the front line eating MREs or whatever those things are called, or would you rather have gone to prison before you went to prison? You know, this is just something you guys have to go through in order to in order to really, really, really understand it. And I apologize if this fucking video is still glitching. It's so aggravating. I can see it pausing every couple of seconds over here. It might be my, maybe something's up with Comcast tonight. I don't know. I paid my bill, though. That's not the issue, guys. I promise RDAPdan pays his bills. You know what a good feeling it is to not be stressing about money and bills and relationships? Man, that used to be such a stress of mine. I used to overextend, get things, and just never had a plan for anything. I haven't had that issue in forever. And it's not because I'm making, money hand over fist with RDAPdan. It's because I don't live beyond my means. I know what I need, and I enjoy my life. I save, I spend a little, I save more. I've got kids, I've got child support, I've got all of these things, and I know where my priorities are now. So it's so awesome to be able to just do what you want to do, be able to make a living at it, have an amazing group of people that are interested in what you have to say, and they have so much to share. There's nothing better than imagine doing. Money aside, there could be jobs out there, and trust me, I could go make. I mean, I have the ability. My background is sales and marketing. I've owned call centers. I have the ability to make a lot of money, but money's not my motivator. And I feel like if I keep the attitude that I have, and I keep the ethic and the workflow that I'm doing with you guys, I feel like everything else that I could potentially want in life will eventually fall into place just by putting forth the positive attitude. And this is the one thing that I want to share with you guys, especially you, Kim. Kim, when I talk to you, I sense such almost like a sadness that you're kind of locked in this, and exactly like what you're saying right now. Like you had a bonfire all by yourself on Mother's Day. So you have the ability to control, enhance, diminish your destiny. You have the ability to make changes in your life. You all do. Some of you are going to prison, so you've got this minor pit stop that you got to deal with. But Kim, you're not going to prison. You've got a loved one in prison, but you have to get your mind right. You've got to focus. You've got to slow down a little bit. You've got to just take a deep breath. You can't run on pure emotion. Emotions are going to be there, but you've got to be able to reel them in and make logical decisions. You've got to be able to determine if your decisions are positive decisions, if they're negative decisions, and maybe sometimes some of us don't really know the difference of a positive or negative choice or decision. We've got to be able to identify when our thinking is wrong. And if you don't know your thinking is wrong, you don't know when you're making a bad choice. So that's why I tell all of you. Todd says, get rid of. Todd says, get rid of what? You do have to take care of you first, but you have to know how to take care of you. And that's why when I tell you guys to read books like Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins, to put energy into reading the Bible, putting the energy into reading the Bible isn't just to build your relationship with God for religious purposes. The other benefit of reading the Bible is the energy because it's a positive book. Even if you're not religious, the Bible is positive. It's got positive stories in there, positive sayings, and it's stuff that you can use to motivate your mind. When you guys get that high, that feeling where it's like you read something and it struck a chord with you, and boom. Incognito. Incognito. Who's Incognito? Is that Larry? Is that you, Incognito? I thought Incognito was Kim. I'm so confused right now. Shannon, you're nailing it on the head. And it's really as easy as Shannon saying it. But the problem is it's not that easy until you've reached that point in your life where you have complete control of yourself. Most of us aren't driving the car that we're in. Most of us are a passenger, and we're allowing our emotions and we're allowing our thoughts to drive us around. And we're allowing our thoughts to make choices. You got to realize that it's okay to have thoughts. We can have thoughts about everything. You can have thoughts about murdering people. You can have thoughts about, kidnapping. You can have thoughts about doing crazy drugs. A thought is just a thought. It's when you act on it and when you turn that into an action and when you turn it into a choice. Once you make the choice to do that, that's when it becomes an issue. Well, Jesse, if you're identifying that I'm describing you and you're still not willing to allow change to take place, change is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everybody. But you got to be willing to embrace change if you want to see your life change to where you want to go. Prison's not the end of the world, no matter what, unless you got a life sentence or you've got, 20 years. But for the majority of you guys in this room, you're going to see the light of day sooner than later. And that's got to be somewhat comforting, because most of you have to realize by now that there's a lot of people in the system that have been there for years, decades. I just got off the phone. Like I said, I spoke to Larry Levine, who served a lengthy sentence in federal prison, different level securities. Michael Santos served a lengthy prison sentence, different security levels, all the way from the pen down to camps. So, those were adversities that people had to overcome. So what's a good mentor? A good mentor, El Gordo, is somebody that you're learning from. It could be anybody. It could be a good friend of yours. Somebody that's going to be upbeat, somebody that's going to be positive, somebody that's going to tell you how things really are, somebody that's going to tell you what you need to hear versus what you may want to hear, somebody that's going to call you on your bullshit, somebody that's going to be there when you need them, but also isn't going to be there. Like, let's say you're the type of person that goes out, gets drunk, constantly calling somebody to come give you a ride. You might finally have a friend that goes, you know what? I'm not coming to get you. Find your own way home. That's a good friend, because he knows all he's doing is enabling your actions and your choices. So you're not learning anything from it. If you don't struggle and you don't feel any of the consequences of your choices, because people are catering to you and they're picking up the pieces, and some of you that have had the luxury of having a, growing up with, like, I don't want to use the word silver spoon, because it's, some of us have it, some of us don't. But if you had the ability of growing up in a family where you were well taken care of and you never really had to do anything, and now all of a sudden you're like, found yourself caught up in the system where you're looking at federal prison and you're like, wait a minute, how come my parents can't get me out of the, you're hitting this brick of reality, and sometimes it's extra hard for somebody that hasn't really had to experience struggle. And not to say that you haven't experienced struggle. I'm not putting anybody down, because God, I wish that I had a silver spoon. Trust me. If you've had an easy life, there's nothing wrong with that. People are going to hate on it all they want, but man, we all wish we had it, right? But obviously the downside is if you weren't ever challenged and now you're facing federal prison, that's a rough thought process that you can't buy your way out of for the most part. Shannon's just full of wisdom tonight, guys. So, just look at what Shannon's saying. That's pretty much the definition of a mentor. And mentors come in all shapes and sizes. My best friend, Casey, who owns Fit Food Fresh out in South Florida, he's an amazing mentor of mine. And I didn't really identify him as a mentor until recently. I've always identified him as somebody that I look up to. He's always been not only a good friend, but the guy has hit adversity after adversity with businesses, frustrating, not making enough money, struggling, having to go back and live at home while he focuses on a business. But he's always been willing to make sacrifices, but he's always been able to maintain a positive attitude throughout it. Not an unrealistic attitude to where, things are going to get better, but he was willing to put in the effort and the hard work to make his outcome to what he wants it to be. And when you meet people that are like that, those are unique, rare individuals. There's so many people that will how many people know somebody that will just complain about everything? They'll complain about their day at work. They'll complain about, the food. They'll complain about other people constantly, talking shit behind people's back, gossiping. That's not a mentor. A mentor is not somebody that's going to engage you in entertaining conversation that doesn't have any type of meaningful basis. Sitting around talking about sports, reality TV, politics all day long, that is not a mentor. That is just ranting and going back and forth. I can one up your story or you can one up my story. Those aren't mentors, even though you might feel comfortable. A mentor is going to challenge you and say things that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe you're complaining about your bad day and the mentor is going to go, well, Why was your day really that bad? You know, what did you contribute to that bad day? At what point did you try to turn that around? What have you done to increase the outlook on your day? That's what a mentor is going to do. A mentor is not just going to lay there and let you have a shitty attitude. And a mentor, if they identify that you can't deal, and if they say something and you get offensive, a mentor will disappear and they will no longer be a mentor because they have identified that you are not at your position in life to where you're ready for that kind of conversation. A lot of us aren't there yet, and I was not there for a long time. I just recently have approached that phase in my life to where I'm starting to see how much I appreciate everybody and everything around me. Rant. I'm a ranting man. Well, thank you, Jesse Tang. Hopefully you'll take some of that good advice. Does anybody watch Silicon Valley? Not to get too off topic. Silicon Valley on, I think it's on, what is it, HBO? Pied Piper. Amazing show. I just love the whole atmosphere of it. Great writing, great story. Anyway, I don't know why I just thought of that. Because my girlfriend just got a Pied Piper shirt. That's why. She bought a Pied Piper shirt off of eBay or something. And it's so funny watching her walk around in her green Pied Piper shirt. But, you know, guys, the whole concept of what I try to do is, I mean, yes, I'm trying to grow my business and get all of that to go in the right direction. But at the same time, I really feel like the connection, you know, I think about all day long, like, what can I do? What topics can I talk about? And a lot of the times when I think about it too hard, I can't find anything. But when I'm just going through my day, doing my normal routine, things come into my mind and I take notes and I write it down. Like I've got another topic that I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for, what is today? Today is Wednesday, right? No, today's Monday. I'm all backed up. I'm going to save it for Wednesday. So I know I have something to talk about on Wednesday, but just to give you guys a little taste. So I got a call. I was on my way camping on Thursday, on my way to go camping. And I'll talk about my camping trip too a little bit in case you guys are wondering. So I was on my way to go camping and this guy calls me. I can't remember his name. Actually, it's on a piece of paper. He calls me, says, "Hey, man. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. The connection's just shitty tonight. Nothing I can do about it. So hopefully you guys will catch the gist of what I'm saying." But this guy calls me. And he's in Atlanta, Georgia. He was supposed to surrender the day before. I think he was supposed to surrender last Wednesday. So he's calling me Thursday, the day past his surrender date. He's supposed to surrender to a camp. And he says, "Hey, I got a question for you. Let me give this thing a minute to reboot here. I wish I could just stop and start, but I'm afraid I'll lose you all if I do that. Everybody try refreshing their screen, see if that helps." So he calls me, tells me he didn't surrender on the day he was supposed to surrender because he's trying to get his benefits from the Army while he's in prison, and there's a meeting he needed to go to in order to get his benefits. So he asks me, is this going to be an issue for him? And I'm like, holy shit, this is really the first time I've gotten this question. So I'm like, wait a minute, you were supposed to surrender and you didn't surrender? Have you called? So he called the prison. The prison's like, man, we can't change that. You're not here. You're not here. He called his attorney. His attorney obviously couldn't do anything. He called U.S. probation. He called the U.S. Marshals. And they said, yeah, just, surrender when you can. And really what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen, I'm going to follow this guy. I've got his registration number and everything on the BOP. I have a feeling what's going to happen is he's going to get pulled out of the camp and redirected to a low, because pretty sure if you don't surrender on your date, there's going to be some severe consequences for that. And that just blew my mind on that choice. Insane. I'm so sorry about the delays, guys. I see people dropping off here. They're getting frustrated, and I do not like letting you guys down. What a bummer. Bummer all the way around. But we should still like this video because it's not RDAPdan's fault. I'm not taking responsibility for the screen lagging. I'm not taking ownership of that. I'm not going to write a personal narrative on responsibility because it's not my fault. And if Mr. person out there that hates the way I drink coffee, this one's for you. Disney gonna bite you in the ass for using Yoda's likeness. You guys want to see what John Goff sent me today? After I sent out that text message, I thought it was pretty funny. So let me pull it up. Make sure I can do this without showing John's phone number. I thought that was hilarious. It made me laugh. In case for you young bucks out there, that is Stripe from the Gremlins, and that is Yoda from Star Wars. But I thought that was hilarious. So thank you for that, John. You definitely gave me a good laugh. Disney, like the feds, they don't play. Yeah, Disney might jump on me. How cool would that be, though, to get like a letter from Disney? Remove that right away. That means my videos are big enough for Disney to get on me. But, hey, man. So, I remember I told you guys a while back that I was going to do something, or I was in the process of doing something that was slightly unethical, maybe beneath me just a little bit. But I went ahead and did it anyway because it was a good business decision, I think. I think it will prove to be a good business decision. And, you know, if a website is available, and let me ask you guys, if Nike.com became available for, let's say, $300, and you had the ability to buy Nike.com, would you feel bad for Nike, or would you buy Nike.com for $300? So I'm not going to tell you the website that I bought, but I bought a website, and I imagine it will aggravate some people at some point, but that website finally got transferred over to me today, and I have it. So I've already forwarded it. So if somebody goes to that website, it actually goes to my YouTube channel. So I can't feel too guilty because you should have been paying attention to your websites and not allowing them to go into an auction. Anyway, so that's that. Guys, I think I've talked long enough on this video. You guys are all wondering whose website I bought, huh? You're going to have to figure that one out. You can text me. Don't post it on here, please. Don't post it on here. But if you want to like send me a text and let me know you figured it out. Well, Nike is trademarked, but I'm just making that as an example. If you could buy the name, would you buy it? You know. And obviously I didn't buy Nike, but it's not a company that big. It's not anywhere near Nike size. But for me, in my industry and what I do, it was, I think, a good purchase because there's a lot of volume that I imagine there's probably a decent sized search that goes for that website. And rdapdan owns it. I already had rdapdan.com. I've had that for a while, John. It's a more popular name than rdapdan. For those of you that want to really know, maybe I'll tell you over the phone, but I can't blast it on here because that's just rude. Incognito is back. Well, you're back just in time for me to say goodbye. Slurp that. Oh, there we go. One for Robbie. My microphone is perfect for slurping. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed this. Go find out who your mentors are. If you don't know who they are, start identifying them. Google with an extra O. Nope. That would be a good one, though, huh, Aaron? Now, I got to go find. That's probably bought already. But no, you guys will find out soon enough because I'm sure once somebody realizes what it is, they're going to start talking shit about it, and they'll probably go in comments and all that fun stuff. They'll probably pop up in the room and talk shit about it. But I don't care because that's what I'm here for. All right, fellers and ladies and gentlemen, Robbie, Aaron, Incognito, John, Chris, Will, if you're still here, I will give you a call when I hang up. Juan Carlos, reviewing all of your millions of pages through your book 1. So I will probably have some information for you back on that. What's today? Wednesday-ish at the latest, if that works for you. If not, let me know and I'll try to get something back sooner on it. But other than that, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. Also, if you have not already, text the word YouTube to phone number 35074. Text the word YouTube, all one word, to phone number 35074. It will put you on a subscription list to give you notifications of all of my upcoming videos, different things that we might be doing, promotions, any promotions that we do that have like discounts attached to them or specials is going to go through things like that. I'm probably not going to broadcast that to everybody because we want people to text the word YouTube to 35074. So make sure you do so, especially if you're not a client yet or you want to become a client at some point and maybe, funds aren't necessarily in, your best friend. So if you're looking for potential discounts that might be coming up, there will be a text going out sometime next week. I don't know what day, but it's going to be a promotion that we're going to offer to a handful select of people, and you're only going to get notified about it through the text. So make sure you text the word YouTube to phone number 35074. Kimberly, good night to all. Until next time, guys, I am RDAPdan, the one and only, YouTube's most wanted. Subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. I will talk to you guys Wednesday. If you need anything, call, text, email. I love every single one of you. Have an awesome night. Peace.